Okay, mate, I need to go film a YouTube channel. Cheers. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this episode I'm going to be talking about everything financial freedom. Now, what we're going to be breaking down is what is financial freedom and how you can achieve it in your life, and that's whether you've got a huge salary or not. A lot of people think that financial freedom is all about being wealthy, having a load of money, but actually every single one of you can achieve financial freedom from the comfort of your own home, believe it or not dependent on your salary or your debt levels at all. Let's get started with the cash flow quadrant. Now, the cash flow quadrant really sets up everything that we've been looking for, and it's going to come down to the assets and liabilities. So what is financial freedom? Put simply, financial freedom is where the income from your assets outstrips your liabilities. For example, if I own, let's say, 5 buy-to-let properties and they make me £1,000 a month between them, and my liabilities, i.e. my outgoings, come to £900 a month, then I am technically financially free. And the journey we want to be going through is the cash flow quadrant. This isn't mine, this is Robert Kiyosaki's, where you've got employed, self-employed or business owner, and all of these are earning roles, all going into an investment role. Okay, so whatever money you're earning, it doesn't really matter. Now, obviously some of you will earn more, but the whole aim of this is to get into that investment sector, get a return on your money, earning a passive income in order to class yourself as financially free. But before all of that, the first thing you need to be considering is, where are you right now? And what I like to do is something I call the sled model: your savings, your liabilities, your earnings, and your debt. And so before even knowing where you're going to get to, you need to understand where you're at right now. So savings, for example, you don't need to hide away from it. What are your savings? If they're zero, they're zero. Your liabilities, what are your monthly outgoings, and how can you reduce and mitigate those moving forward? Even your earnings, even if you're employed right now, an employee, how can you earn more money? What value can you add to your boss? What extra work can you do to get a bonus in the next quarter or the next 6 months? And of course, your debt. Now, this is where most people bury their head in the sand, but you don't need to do it. Have a look at your debt, get it written down. What's the worst debt? I'm talking bad debt here, not good debt, which we'll go through in a moment. But your bad debt, what's costing you most? How can you chip away at it over time? And most importantly, this is great, but what's your mindset towards it all? And what I mean by that is, what does your relationship with money look like? So what do I mean? Well, your relationship with money. Thanks, Katie. Thank you. So when we're talking about relationship with money, everyone seems to think that the more money you're making, that actually it's evil. Money is the root of all evil, right? But actually that's not the case. Money doesn't change people. You know, people say when they changed. They didn't change. It exposed who they already were in the first place. See, money doesn't change people. It just makes you more of who you already are. It accentuates who you are. So for example, if you're a bit of an arsehole, you do nasty things to people around you, if you've got more money, that just gives you more power in order to do the same thing. Whereas if you're a charitable person, a good person, likes to give back your time and money, maybe to charities or whatever it is you do, what money does as you grow is it gives you more power to do good things like that to help people grow in their industries. So once you understand that and you've got the right mindset around money, it's not a taboo. In America, you see it a lot more positive, but in England, it's like this, oh my God, really negative thing. Get it out of your head. Money is neither good or bad. It just accentuates what's already there. So if you're a good person, you're about to become better. Once you understand that and you've got a great relationship with money and actually understand it can really help grow you and the people around you, the next thing we need to do once we've got that mindset is learning how to track the funds that's already there. Now, in personal finance, I like to do what's called a T3. This is tracking the last 3 months of your financial acumen. And the way we do this is with your income and of course your outgoings. Now, your income, for 95% of you watching this, will be your salary. Okay, so what salary you're earning, what can you do to earn more, go above and beyond. Now, of course, salaries don't increase dramatically. Typically, it's about 2.5–3% a year. But if you really exceed your expectations, can you help grow that? Are you in a commissions role? Can you get bonuses? Can you put a proposal forward to your boss where you're exceeding the value expectations and getting something in return? Obviously, outside of that, and we spoke about the quadrant earlier, what investments have you got? Is it stocks or property? And obviously, being a property channel, I'm obsessed with property. What assets have you got? What is your total income? Then what you're looking at is your monthly outgoings, okay? So what is going out on a monthly basis? Now, this could be your loans, your gym you go to, cards, house, phone, subscriptions. Now, subscriptions are the ones that are really good. If you look over the last few months, let's say Audible, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and you think to yourself, some are good, some are better than others, Deliveroo Pro, or whatever it's called. What are you actually spending money on that you really don't need if you can cut back on that? Now, the obvious ones are Netflix and that. I'm not saying don't have a life, by the way, but if you're not genuinely getting value, if you're not genuinely utilizing them in the right way, then cut them from your life. For me, it's the cards. These are the ones that jump out for you, and mine's takeaways and Costa. Like, it is criminal what I spent. I've had months where I've spent over $1,000 on takeaways. I'm not proud of that, okay? But actually, you don't really think about it when it's 20 quid here, 40 quid here. I've got some friends around 70 quid, whatever it is that it's mounting up to. Or coffees, I spend a lot on Costa or Starbucks because I buy coffees for the team here, and it just goes out of control. But if you're not in that financial situation to do that, you need to really understand your outgoings and your liabilities and total them up. And what you'll probably find the first time you do this and you go, oh shit, is when you total up your income in minus your outgoings, you're going to have a big VAT zero, or more than likely negative and in the red. But once you've understood and you've tracked that efficiently, the final thing we're going to be looking out for is pot systems. So I've actually done a in-depth video on this, and what we'll do at the end is we'll link it up here so you can watch that as your next video because it will tie in nicely with this. But let's say you've got your play account, your main account, your long-term savings, and your financial freedom. Now, what most people do when they get their pay each month is to go, yeah, I'm gonna go out for a few drinks on Friday night with the lads or the girls, whatever it is, or not so much now, although the world's opening up, right? So we go for drinks, all of that. Then it's kind of, do you know what? I'm really struggling to pay my rent at the end of the month or my bills. Maybe I'll be 5 days late. We've heard the term too much month at the end of the money and things like that, right? And you're probably done with your money then, with no sort of recourse to your long-term savings or your financial freedom. But I like to do things very differently, because even when you look at this and you've analyzed this, you can probably mitigate those outgoings that we just went through so that your main, i.e. your monthly outgoings, can be reduced, usually between 10 and 30%. You'll be shocked at how much you can reduce them by. And when you do and you get your monthly salary, let's say I've got 80 quid in my hand, and this represents it in some way. Even if you did something like this, okay? Let's say it represents 5% of your money that comes in, put it into your financial freedom, okay? Number one, financial freedom. Number two, looking at the long-term savings. Let's put another 5% in there. Now, the reason I like those numbers, I don't know if you've ever read this. If you haven't, strongly recommend it. The Richest Man in Babylon, okay? So if you've got The Richest Man in Babylon, you read that, and if you earn £1,000 a month, and you live off £1,000 a month, you can live off £900 a month. Every single person can figure out how to live off 90% of the money if they're currently living on that. And then you go into your main account. Let's say that represents 50, 60, 70% or whatever it is. Let's put 40 quid in there. And then whatever's left you play, because it's important to enjoy yourself as you're growing things as you're going along. But this is the key when you see really successful people. Unsuccessful people, people that are struggling financially speaking, they go in this order. They spend the money on having a laugh, maybe the rest on bills, or maybe it switches around for some of you. It doesn't really matter. It's both an unsuccessful way of thinking about it, and then your savings, and then your financial freedom where you're actually investing in yourself. But the smart, intellectual and financially savvy individuals that grow over the long term, they start with their financial freedom, their passive income, their long-term mindset first, assets versus liabilities in that investment quadrant. Then they look at their long-term savings, then they look at paying their bills, and then they play with what's left. And you need to figure out what way you're going to approach this. So one of the first things you need to look at when looking at financial stability, then freedom, opulence and beyond, is you need to be honest with your current situations. So a big mistake that I see with entrepreneurs, especially in the first 3 to 5 years of operating, is trying to look good rather than being good. So you see people with the Lamborghinis that are barely affording the lease on it and things like that. And actually, you need to look at yourself and cut some of those stuff out. So whether it's a car that's way too expensive for what you're looking at, whether it's a designer watch, the latest iPhone that you might want, or of course an Apple Mac. No, I'm joking, don't worry. You need to start cutting those things out more and more as you're moving forward, because otherwise you're so focused on looking good. And the problem when you start on that next level is you're always trying to achieve the upper echelon, okay? So cut out these things that are trying to look good to your friends, because let's face it, they really don't give a shit about that stuff, and if they do, they're not your friends in the first place, okay? So cut back on that, start looking at getting good rather than looking good, and the first crucial part of that is taking a good look at your debt. So debt can be really overwhelming at times because you're right at the bottom of the barrel, and it can be really intense, and you think, actually, I'm ashamed of it, especially if it's bad debt, and it can end up spiraling out of control. And I remember years ago, a family member got one of those Wonga loans, and the interest on the interest on the interest just explode and it become exponential. But actually, if you can shift your mindset around debt, you can really start to look at it very differently. And I see debt as an investment. And what I mean by this is, if you've got an unsecured loan, let's say you've got £5,000 on an unarranged overdraft that's costing you £200 a month, then if you think about £200 a month, that's £2,400 a year, that's 48% interest on your £5,000. So if you thought about that as an investment, imagine finding a property or a stock that would pay 48% return on your money. You just wouldn't. And so instead of thinking as debt as a thing to just accumulate, think about chipping away at it. And yes, it's really frustrating, and it is the first level, you know, you are right at the bottom here, but as soon as you can start chipping away at that debt, start seeing it as something, paying it down, and then you're allowing yourself to free up the capital to then help grow yourself instead of somebody else's assets, you've then got to the second level of achieving financial freedom. So the next thing you need to understand is the difference between active and passive income. Now, I get it, we all want financial freedom which relies on this passive income, but you need to look at what you're starting with. Now, the reality is, most of us are starting with this, a bunch of shrapnel ready to go. And yes, can you multiply 10 pence a pound, 20 pence, 50 pence? Yeah, of course you can, but most of us are in this situation where we're not looking at our bank account going, wow, what a load of money to start multiplying. And the problem is that it's all going to drip feed through, and no matter how much you can get 20%, 30%, or if you're getting insane returns, 40% onwards, you're really going to struggle to make any significant amount of income from that. So instead, what I like looking at is, what can you do to focus on your active income? Now, active income, yes, it's an exchange of time, but if you focus on the active income, it's a lot easier to make. So for example, if you're employed, what proposals can you put forward to your boss to go above and beyond? What's going to make them more money and you a split of that money in form of a bonus? How can you get a pay rise? How can you get commissions? Maybe you can do something above and beyond. Is there something like a different entrepreneurial game you can play outside of that? So for example, Uber drivers. Uber is self-employed. You can do something, maybe Vuber, if you want to get around property. It's a really great way of doing it. Maybe it's Deliveroo. And the more of this you make, the more active income, the more cash you're starting with. And then as you're earning more of that active income, you can stop working hard or as hard for your money, start making it work hard for you, and start feeding it through into that passive income game. So as I said, once you've got this active income, what you can then do is invest it into passive assets. Now, that can be some paper assets like stocks and shares, and you get dividends from it. Or what I massively prefer is physical assets, just like these properties behind me, where we can buy them, rent them out, and have passive income on a monthly basis, and of course, capital appreciation. The final thing I think you should be thinking about is the eighth wonder of the world, and that is compounding, the power of compounding and the compound effect. Now, this is honestly, it's too complex for the brain to truly understand. And again, I recommended earlier The Richest Man in Babylon. And the whole thing of that is you start with your gold, your silver, and your bronze. So you earn your gold, you go out there, you get your active income, and then you invest it, and your gold has babies. And the babies is your silver. And then you reinvest your silver, and then that produces your bronze, and then you spend your bronze, okay? And the idea of that is if you just become financially indestructible at that side, or invincible, right? So you need to understand the power of compounding. So if you earn £1, and you invest that and it brings you £1.50. You get a 50% return, that which is insane, okay? And if you invest the £1.50, you then get £2.25. And then if you invest the £2.25, you get £3.37.5 and onwards, okay? Now, a really common one of this is the 1 pence. So people talk about, would you rather £1 million today or a penny that doubles in value every day for 30 days? Now, most people go, oh, the £1 million please, or most people have heard this now. But if you're smart, you'll understand that actually you want to think about day 30. So 1 pence becomes 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, and onwards. And you think, well, you know, you've just done 6, 7 days and you're only on £5.12. Yes, but by day 80, you're around 4 point something million pounds, okay? And that's the power of compounding. And the reason why is if you look at wealth accumulation, even if you're investing and you think, oh, I make 20% a year, right? So it must go like that, or it must go up 20% a year, times it by 1.2. Obviously, right? Well, yes, but it's not a straight line. The compound line looks something like this. So your growth goes up and up and up and up and up, and then suddenly you're looking at a vertical line. So never underestimate the compound effect. Read into it. Read The Richest Man in Babylon, The Richest Man in Babylon. Read the compound effect, and then truly start multiplying your money. Let your money have babies, and then have your money's money have babies, and then live off of that. And if you can truly embrace the 8th wonder of the world, your financial security becomes financial freedom, becomes financial opulence, and then what I like to coin financial invincibility. And at this point where you are financially invincible, you are truly untouchable. So I hope you got massive value from this video. I know it's a bit different. Most importantly, I hope you've got the value to take away, watch it again, and start implementing this so you can get yourself on the road to financial freedom. If you're not subscribed already, you know what to do. Make sure to hit the notification bell as well. It helped me tremendously if you just smash that like button, and let me know what you thought. Did you get value from this video? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, if you've got another 10 minutes, watch the POTS video or the jar system video that's coming up right now. Give that a watch and let me know what you think. And of course, I'll see you in the next video.